Hey everyone, Jim Phoenix here, and boy, am I excited for our next guest. It is the final author interview, and it is with a longtime friendo, Isaac Thorne. I claim discovering him, even though he was discovered like years before I met him, but sure, our secret. He talks about Hellspring, the novel that we are giving away, by the way, and talks about writing processes and weird things and cool weird things. And of course, all this and more on isaacthorne.com, ISAACTHORNE.com. Spelling exam done. What's cracking? Up next. Hit it. Hey everyone, Jim Phoenix here, and boy, am I excited for this new What's Cracking. This one I've been waiting for an author series for a while. It is probably the person I thought of first when I said we're going to do an author series. It's none other than Isaac Thorne. If you've done anything at all in horror, you should know his name. He's got Hellspring already out. It's almost legal to drink in some areas, or legal to date. I forgot. You're old. I don't know. One of the two. But Isaac, thank you so much for coming over. I bet you're regretting it already. It's like, my book's legal to drink now. What? No. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here. It was quite a job to get us on the same schedule, but we did it, and
Yes,
we're here now.
Yes, it was. It was for those that don't follow social media that much. We kind of tag team COVID, and not in the cool way, in a very weird, awkward way. Like I can't do it. Like, oh, that's fine. We'll schedule. And then the day of, same thing. Like, oh man, I just came down with it. How? It's like a little virus, I guess, that goes around through the computer waves now. But I'm so glad it worked out. Both of our voices will kind of hold up. Now, I have to admit, I do remember you, a young strapling author who was already well established, by the way. But in my mind, a young strapling author submitting to, I think was it Ricky's Backyard, or was it Haunted
No,
MTL then?
it was it wasn't Haunted MTL, but it was Haunted MTL
So it was
by
Ricky's
the
Backyard.
time. Yeah, but by the
It got into
time
the
it
publication.
got into the publication, it was Haunted MTL.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a little short story called Dead Rights that has never been published anywhere else since, as a matter of fact. It'll probably end up
Wow.
in a collection someday, but yeah,
That's
I was happy to have it in Haunted MTL. I love that story. I thought it was funny, and
it
you
was.
guys
It was brilliant.
apparently did too.
No, it was absolutely amazing because if you ever have to get the other end of the stick with being a publisher, you get a lot of stuff going. Oh, the slush piles get like really slushy sometimes. And I saw this, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is like really good. This is amazing. Me not googling anyone's name at all. I'm like, boy, he's got a career going for him. If he can take this far. And then later on, I see the name pop up on Twitter. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, right.
Well, I appreciate that.
Uh, Yeah, it's
Yeah.
brilliant. Like, I thought, like, I just discovered Michael Jordan. This is awesome. Like, oh no, he plays for the Bulls already. Really? Uh, five championships already? Really? Who knew?
And
So
Dead Rights
you
was
have the talent.
oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Dead Rights was one of those that actually it it was kind of a rarity in idea. It was one of those things that just basically comes to you fully formed, and you
Yeah.
write it down, and usually my stuff doesn't work that way. I'll start with a scene, an idea for a scene, and then work around that for the short stories at least. But yeah,
Okay,
Dead
that's
Rights.
interesting. You're saying that. So this came forwardly formed. Dead Rights just popped in your head.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know why. I usually my stuff is somewhat influenced by the news, current events, politics, culture, things like that. And I don't
Right.
remember what was going on when I wrote it, but there was some, I remember there being some kind of news influence there, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be funny, if this guy working in a university morgue studying anatomy fell in lust with the corpse on his table, and then she sat up and called him out on it. you know
See, that's okay. That's what brought me to it, because maybe it's my generation, but I was very aware of this. One of my friends, their father owned a mortuary, and this
Mhm.
is when the mortuary people were sleeping with the dead and getting
Oh
caught.
god.
Apparently, like, I don't know who's catching them, but they're getting caught with it. As like the SNL skit, like, we absolutely do not have sex with our cadavers. That was the whole SNL skit for a bit. So I read that, I'm like, oh my god, it's like that skit. It's like that
Right.
skit from, like, the 90s. I love it. And you're like, that's what I think the direction. Yeah, the news. This must have been, oh man, well, pre-COVID, so it go back to about 5 years, and then probably what, between 2015 to 19 to 18 ish, maybe.
Yeah, 18
So it's
probably.
probably a lot of the scandals. Yeah, so a lot of
Yeah,
the sexual, the scandals kept just breaking, breaking wide open.
the
Me
Weinstein
Too
thing
might
and
have
all
been
that.
Weinstein, yeah, was
Yeah,
starting to crack open. So there we have it. It's the I see you see something on the news, or it's the earworm, and it's like, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? Like,
right.
wouldn't that, like, a little twist of the truth, the little twist of the story, and that's an amazing way of doing it. I have heard from other authors who said they have the entire story. I'm usually one of them. I have the entire story in my head. Like, even
Uh,
unfortunately in novels and screenplay, which gets really heavy and it's insane. Uh, but that and the scene starts. Like, you have the scene, then you write the story around the scene, or you see where the scene takes you. Do you ever try
right.
to force a character in and see what would happen if I do this? This guy gets in there,
I've learned, I've kind of learned that I can't force a character into any situation the
right?
character doesn't want to
Yes,
be. As soon as I start trying to force it, it starts to read that way. You know what I mean?
yes,
If you
absolutely. And
read
did
that,
you learn it? How'd you learn it?
right?
How'd you learn it? You
Uh,
try it. You try it.
yeah, actually, yeah. I mean,
I think we
I've
all
gone
had
back.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, you go back to well, especially in my first drafts, because even the
Yes.
short stories I rewrite and rewrite um, several times, but you can, when you read it, especially in the first draft, you can tell, oh, I was trying to make this something that the character
Right.
obviously didn't want it to be, so cut, and or replace
That's
with something else.
That's pretty good advice. I think it's things that we think intrinsically we can do, and then we find out, no, 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 you can't. Like, we
You
think like,
can't,
oh, this is
right?
possible. Like, I can make my characters do what I want,
Yeah.
and the character fights back, like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. It's plot driven, not character. Got it. Plot driven. So we find this out. Is there anything else you did in your past as a writer that you discovered a better way of doing?
um, Not necessarily a better way. There are things I've stopped doing, or stopped trying to
Right.
do.
Really?
Like, yeah, when I write my novels, I tried originally to do outlines, because a
Aha.
lot of people, yeah, a lot of people I admire were like, outlines. You got to outline it, and once you outline it, once you have all your ideas and scenes and characters and everything in that outline, the writing is easy. Well, the problem is I don't have the story fully formed enough to create an outline from it. Um, like, especially, I
Oh,
mean, I wouldn't outline a short story anyway, but with the novels, once I have the idea and I know, I have kind of a sketch in my head of what I
right.
think is going to happen. Well, as soon as I try to outline that and think I have a good solid outline, when I start writing it, it goes somewhere else. So I ended up being what they call a seat of the pants writer. You know, more so when I do the long fiction, I do, instead of trying to outline from the beginning, before the first draft, I take the first draft and I create an outline from that when it's
Oh,
done.
really?
Yeah,
That's
and
pretty interesting.
that way when I do the rewrites, I can see the holes. I can see the places where the
Right.
dots don't connect. I can see things that you know started to go somewhere and never did. And that way
Yes.
I in right, in other words, I use an outline to fix more than I use it to create.
I laugh because I find I've getting my own novel coming out shortly, and I found the same things where you write it and like this is great in your head, and you start outlining like, oh, this character appears like once for 3 pages. Like, why
Right.
is this person even here in this story? What? Why is this
Exactly.
even a thing? What am I doing? So it's like the you're doing like a post on the post-mortem on the outline on the first draft and trying to outline it that way.
Yeah.
And then do you
Yeah,
then,
absolutely.
pin them to scenes, or how do you move things around?
Um what I usually do, once I have that outline, is I might move a chapter here or there. You know, I might see something
Right,
that I think, well, this really should have happened earlier for this character to be in this place. You know, later
right.
on, or maybe you know this character wouldn't be having these revelations yet because not enough has occurred to guide them to whatever conclusion it is they're coming to. So I might move chapters around, and if you do that, then you do have to do some rewriting in the chapters as
Yeah.
well to make sure you don't have any leftovers there where somebody's reading, um, and it sounds like something just happened when it actually happened days ago now. um
Right, and that's the thing, especially when you start moving around, sometimes this is not fresh in your mind anymore, so you really have to be careful with that.
right, yeah, exactly, and
Yeah,
that's why it pays to not only do that outline for me but also to reread and review multiple times and put some space in the days between those. Like, I finish a first draft, I won't look at it for a week or two, and then when I go
right, put it in
back
the
to it to
freezer,
do
is
that,
that yeah.
right, when I go back to it to do that outline, it's all fresh, you know. um and then same thing after rewrites, I'll go through it again, and I have a um application on my laptop that I use to have it read the manuscript aloud to me while I wear headphones, because
Really?
I've also discovered that I can catch a lot of crap that way that I don't catch by
Because 'Cause you're
reading
not
it.
gap filling. Like,
Right.
yeah, when you're especially when you're reading your own work, your mind gap fills. It
Yes,
just skips over
exactly.
stuff, and because you wrote it, so, like, you know what you mean, but
Yep.
it's not in the paper, though. What's on
Right.
paper is different from what's in your head.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
issue.
you mean the reader
Yeah,
can't see
so
what
I
I'm
love it.
thinking? you know.
Right, yeah. If only, if only. Next year, the next new
Yeah.
food that'll be horrific for me for technology now. So, when you're doing something like Hellspring, and I know Hellspring is the one that's your almost one-year-old. Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Almost one-year-old. I remember that first came out. I remember
Yeah.
because I saw that the cover, like, "Oh, that's a cool ass cover, man." I actually
That
probably texted
cover,
like, "That's a cool cover."
yeah, that cover has generated a lot of eyeballs and a lot of comments and hopefully a lot of the sales I've gotten of that novel. it's actually I have one cover designer who's done most of the covers for my books, and
Wow.
that includes the short stories that I put out as singles. And she and I actually usually table together at local cons, because she has her own, art and coloring books, horror and fantasy themed, that she sells. Um,
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
yeah, she just knocked it out of the park with Hellspring. It is my favorite of the covers she's done for me. I actually have a print of that hanging on my wall, framed print,
Really?
because I
That's
absolutely love that cover.
that that's awesome. I'm so glad you brought up your wall because one of the things I've seen, and I'm on your website right now, which is isaacthorne.com, ISAACTHORNE.com, which if you are an author, I I'm guilty of not doing this, but mine's coming. If you're an author, I strongly suggest getting your own website because it gives you that one big step towards your readers that you won't get just from doing Amazon's. And this is
Right.
something I saw on your Instagram. It was the mailing room. I believe
Yes.
you're doing like the whole mail. Yeah. And I'm looking at
Yeah,
signed paperbacks. If you go to isaacthorne.com, signed paperback, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is 19.99
that's correct.
right
Yeah.
now. And if you go to Amazon, the paperback without signature, 19.99.
Yep.
So what it's like it's no brainer. What would you rather do? Like get it from the author with a signature on it, or Amazon?
Yeah.
This is a brilliant move. So what led you to this?
I Pricing a book when you're an indie author, it's always been kind of a
Oh,
hand wringing thing for me, because I want some profit from it,
yeah.
but when you're an indie, especially if you're the print stuff, if you're doing print on demand, it is more expensive short term to print on demand. The per copy um, uh,
Yes.
print cost is higher than if you went to your local offset printer and had them print 1,000. Of course, then you have
Yeah,
a
it's like
thousand
a
sitting
thousand
in your
copies. Yeah.
basement. you know,
You have a
um,
castle. You build cardboard box castles out of them. That's what
right.
we used to do. My castle.
so so the pricing is always a little bit of a hand wringing thing for me. But I figured if I price it the same as I sell it for retail, I can include stickers, I can include bookmarks, I can include a signature,
Right.
and these little things that also have cost to them, but not so much cost that it's completely taking away the profit.
You're
And
not getting your profit margin. Yeah.
right, and the customer gets more for their money as a result.
Yes.
And I enjoy doing that. I like being able to provide them with something that they're not going to get buying it through Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And that's not that I'm not happy when someone buys it through another channel, um, bookshop.org, indie bookshops. I'm a big fan of, but if I can give them a little something extra, I have custom packaging that I send the physical books in that has my little evil
Really?
bunny character on it. So yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man. So when
So
we see like the includes 2 free evil bunny stickers, I'm like, oh, I need one of these now.
right, exactly.
I'd buy it. For me, it's like the book, I probably already have, but the bunny stickers, I do not. It's like a
Yeah,
$20 bunny sticker. I'm like, oh, it's $10 each. I'll do it. I'm crazy that way. Give me those bunny. Like, I'll take bunny stickers all day, sir. So I like how you're packing this up. You're making it both a business, but not so much. It's not like an MBA kicking in. It's a business
right.
because you want to give the reader something more.
Yeah, exactly,
Am I making
exactly.
sense? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
and I
I mean, if I wanted, the thing about being an indie as well is if I was doing this because I wanted to retire from it, then that's a fool's errand. You know, there's no way that I, as an indie author, without the vast you know pocketbook of a traditional publisher, am gonna make enough doing this in the way that I do it to, quit my day job. Um,
Right.
so that's not the reason I'm doing. Now, that's not saying an indie author can't. There are indie authors who have, but that's not me. I think, number one, my audience is too niche, and I'm not. I'm afraid if I try to make it my entire work life, that the fun will leave. You know.
It's the old Hunter Thompson thing. When a young writer's like, "I want to write for a living. It's really fun." I'm like I give him the quote from Thompson. It's like, writing is a lot like sex. It's only fun for amateurs. You don't hear any old whores giggling, and that's like, it's like when you make it your
Absolutely.
full time gig, it's like the joy starts draining.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I, I see where you're at. I mean, this is one of the things I was like, wow, he's. And by the way, for those who don't know, and shame on you if you don't know, not knowing, but Isaac Thorne could go full time. In my opinion, you could go full time, and this is your old gig, and that's it. Because your writing spectacular, your imagery is outstanding, the pacing is wonderful. Everything you want to not only teach in a writing class, but things that you can't quite teach unless it's repetition. You just kind of like have to learn it. You just have to
Mhm.
learn it by master crafting it. You're there. You're already
Well, I
there.
appreciate that.
And
I appreciate that.
well, I appreciate you putting out good works. It's like mutual appreciation that way. Oh, absolutely. And then not only are you there, but you understand the indie game. You understand what it's like to apps. I will say, okay, I'll ask. I'm only gonna say. So, have you thought about going to a? I don't want to use a traditional publishing vernacular, like the external indie, meaning a small publisher.
A small press. I
Yeah,
have considered it. I have considered it occasionally, but there's also a part of me that
just offload it.
actually, yeah, and there are times when I desperately want to do that, especially if they're willing to take over stuff like social media. Um, which I'm I'm all over, but oh my god.
I don't know how you do it. I have no idea. You're my inspiration for social media. I was like you got like 5.2 billion followers. What? What?
Well, Twitter, I was able to build pretty quickly over a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Well, X now, whatever. Um, but I don't think I could do it now. And my other social media, they're not paltry, but they're nowhere near the number of Twitter followers I managed to build over that time. That's one reason I'm sad to see what's happening to it, because
To,
I have a
yeah, I
feeling I'm
know.
eventually going to have to leave. Um,
That was the
but
I of all of them, I like Twitter the most as well. Used
yeah,
to. And
yeah,
it's more and more painful every time I
yeah.
look at it. And I'll have to ask because I see it on your profile. Is your TikTok feed as painful as mine? Trying to
I have attempted to
like you must use
curate my
TikTok. I'm like I use TikTok.
I I have
Do what now?
attempted to curate my TikTok feed so that it is mostly like cats, you know.
There you go.
Um yeah, cats and
There
dogs,
you go.
and particularly
Yeah,
talking cats,
smart.
you know.
Oh man, I wish I was that smart. I wish I was that smart. I was like, I was doing old man playing basketball again. That was me. I was like, welcome to Gen X. I'm out of shape. Oh boy, that was a horrible.
Yeah.
What thing you used to be good at, you're really horrible at now, huh? Mine's breathing. Fucking like that. That's like I got two videos. I think that's one of them. So we are both in the I, yeah, I am there with you. It's the you have to live social media, and God, I know some people who are marvelous at social media, and they love social media, and they eat it up. I ain't one of them, and I always thought you might be because how hard you seem. You look like you're working very hard. I mean,
I
just
am.
the retweets and
Yeah.
the yeah. So you're doing that because
Yeah,
you
I
have
am.
to.
Yep.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and I don't think I don't think my work would have gotten as out there as it is without
right?
Twitter in particular in the beginning. Facebook, I'm bad at. I've never really become enamored of Facebook the way some folks have. I'm on it rarely. Um, and a lot of that is just, things I'm copying from Twitter and just reposting
Yeah.
there. But I never really found my legs there, you know. Instagram I'm slightly better at. Um, but
I like your
yeah, I
Instagram
mean,
because I get to see your world.
yeah.
I get to
Yeah,
see the pictures like, oh, this is very visual
that's where I
pops,
post my shipping station and my pops and
The shipping honestly, I saw that shipping statement, I'm like, "Oh, that is it. That's what I have to
yeah.
do. I have to get off my butt," and it's very inspiring. So for your house spring, you had a spring, you
Yes.
say you may be doing another convention for house spring, or what kinda tour are you coming from house spring?
Yeah, is there's
I don't know, I did the
a
voice.
book there's a book blog tour coming up in October for Hellspring, and the tour manager that I've been working with for over a year now on this book is just amazing in connecting with people and getting people to read it and review it and buy it even. Um, so we're doing another one this October. So you'll probably, hopefully, be seeing Hellspring on some book blogs and much more on your social media feeds. Not that I
Well,
don't
heck,
post enough about it
if you know,
already, but
you can always post more, and that's the thing. You are so kind and generous to us, Haunted MTL. Is like it blows me away every time. Like I'm like, is he just like really just blowing smoke up my ass right now, or is it like no? It's like, oh wow, this is very kind of you. Wow.
no,
And
I
I see you retweeting stuff and listening, and just
yeah.
blows me
No,
away,
I love
man.
you guys. I love you guys. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, but and they've come and gone over the years. And I don't stick with all of them, but you guys I've stuck with. There are some core, other podcasts that
Well,
I've stuck with, and I love your microfiction that you post on
the microfictions, but
yes.
the little instant tweets. You know what helps, especially for longevity of both podcasts and microfiction? Liquid IV. So if you go Liquid IV, I'm kidding. I'm not going to drop a plug in your interview. Liquid IV is like the one time is a legit thing. You're not talking about Ewoks right now. It's like now you're pulling away. Yeah. But this is my point. When you're using social media, even though you see it as part of a job for an author, when I agree it is, you're not just pushing book, 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 book. You're also pushing other people. You're talking. You're engaging. You're
Right.
watching The Last Drive-In. You're tweeting at this. You're doing the cat video. You're doing this. You're doing this photo. It's engaging. You're not just
Yeah.
doing. It's not the echo chambers like, boom, here it is. Press play and let it recycle through. You are
Yeah.
absolutely engaging with people,
Yeah, and
which
I
I
think
think
that's
is a missing
important.
step.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's important to
us
do
too.
that. And I well, and I'll tell you when I first landed on Twitter back, it's probably 2015. I think was when I started my account on there. One of the first people who followed me and I followed back is a guy called Bleeding Critic. he wears a clown mask, and he does, reviews of movies, video reviews of movies and books. And one of the things that he always said at the end of his videos was, make sure you follow and like and engage, with, and he would
Yeah.
promote other accounts, saying like, follow, engage with this account. It's a cool account. So he kind of started me down this road of keeping up engagement and actually, talking to people and responding to other people and helping them, become more visible as well. Um, and I do think it's important to do that. Otherwise, all you're doing is promoting, and people are gonna ignore that after a time.
Yeah, they suss it out pretty quickly, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
It's why influencers only go so far.
Right.
And once the Botox wears off, it's over, because they didn't build, they didn't, sounds mean, but they didn't build an honest like relationship with their followers. It was a one way,
Right.
and
Yeah.
this
Exactly.
way you build it. And I think we both watched The Last Drive, and I'm pretty sure we've seen each other's tweets on that.
Yeah.
I think that's what they do really well. Like people
Yeah.
like that do it really well. You do it amazingly well. And
Thank
I
you.
think it goes off into why people should buy Hellspring. First of all, if you want an autograph copy, there's still some left, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
There's a autograph. Okay. If you want an autograph copy of Hellspring, I'm feeling cocky. Hardback. Why not? Why not? Get the hardback out. So I want to see that sucker anyways. If you want an autograph copy of Hellspring, the hardback, you can kill someone with this. Probably don't. Please don't. See your lawyer first. Actually, don't see a lawyer. It's illegal to kill anyone anyways, period. HauntedMTL, it's on us. You go tweet at us, you DM us, you X thread us, I don't even know what Facebook messaging. I don't know, whatever it is. You make it known with your address, and we will send out the paid to you. That's how it is. Hellspring, the very first 4 people. I like number 4. Kind of weird that way. You get a copy of
Awesome.
Hellspring, and everybody else, buy it yourself. Buy it yourself. Go to isaacthorne.com. ISAACTHORNE.com. Get yourself some Hellspring. It is awesome sauce. And there's even I'm ultra jealous. There's an Audible book. I'm so
Um,
jealous. You have no idea.
of Not of Hellspring yet.
Not
My
yet.
my
Okay, so I'm not jealous of you yet. Okay.
Yet. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Is it
other
coming out?
books,
How's that working for you?
the other books are all in audio format. The narrator of the Gordon Place is actually, hopefully going to be able to do the audiobook edition of Hellspring. I wanted I had hoped to be able to get him on it in time to have them both, sort of released around the same time.
Right.
Unfortunately, he was already overwhelmed with projects, so it's in his queue, and hopefully hopefully will be coming soon.
Did you ever think about doing one yourself? Doing the
Uh,
reading?
I I
Yours?
have my I actually have my short stories in audio
I'll say for the
format.
shorts,
Or
yeah, right?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
mostly narrated by me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's always the thing, because authors usually can do the best inflections at the same time.
Yeah.
For a novel, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's gonna take some time. But that's like, I can hear you, Glenn Fandango. You just hire Matt Berry. There you go. I hear he can do some stuff when he's not being a vampire.
Yeah.
So you know what? This has been a wonderful chat. I thank you so much for your time. We actually went over it a little bit. I thank you for your time. And again, if you want Hellspring, first 4 on us, autograph, hard copies, why not? You do some have hard copy autograph, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, first 4 autograph, hard copies, why not? Give us a DM, slide us in, no problemo. We'll get them out to you. Quantity's last. But check out the site, isaacthorne.com. Check them out on all the socials. It's actually pretty cool. We follow them. I'm going to find your TikTok now and your Pinterest.
Okay.
I'm gonna go hunt your Pinterest TikToks down. That's what I'm gonna do after this.
It's
Thank you very
Isaac
much for
R.
everything,
Thorne
sir.
everywhere. Absolutely.
Isaac R. Thorne everywhere. That's a very long name. Isaac R. Thorne
Yes.
everywhere. Oh,
It's Isaac
no,
R. Thorne
everywhere was not part of it.
space everywhere.
Space. Okay. I'm like, that's an awfully long name. Go follow him. It's entertainment. It's well worth it, and you're going to learn something. If you are a horror fan, you have to follow him. If you're a writer who wants to learn a trade, follow him too. Just follow it. You're going to learn. I still learn a lot. Honestly, God, I learned a lot from you. So I want to say thank you for that, and thanks for coming. And that's it. Bye, everyone.